That's right. That's how he always opens up the text.
Yeah.
Oh, the HOAT is so delicious.
Yeah.
Man.
Sorry for the long story, but it was worth it.
I'm sorry for your loss, but what a victory.
Yeah.
This episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B and Myra. From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now, broadcasting from the churn, that's Dr. Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
What didn't we talk about
I
in
know.
this
I'll tell you right now,
Patreon?
speaking of real problems.
Yes.
If you want to hear about some real motherfucking problems, this is a good week to sign up on Patreon.
This is the week. Yeah, this is the one.
You've never heard me say this before.
That's true.
This is a good week to sign
it's
up on
a rare
Patreon.
endorsement.
Listen to the pre-show for this show. It's the longest one I think we've ever done.
It's an hour.
It's a little over an hour.
It's almost time to go home.
Yeah.
I got to pee already.
Drop some money into that bucket. Sign up over at patreon.com/therapy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Wow, 6 years and you finally got it.
Yeah. It's okay. I don't know the Hey Scoops one either.
If you want to know how good...
It's Hey Scoops.
I mess it up remarkably often.
I mean, if you want to know how good this week's Patreon is, 6 years, have you ever heard Jacob plug the Patreon for
No,
this
I
show?
don't think it's ever happened.
Never.
I don't think it's ever
damn.
happened.
Until tonight.
I'll tell you, it's happened single-digit times.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
worth a
one.
buck. This one's worth a buck. You can
Yeah.
hear about the tea of the
I'll tell you
HOA
right now,
election.
this one's worth $5. If you're
can hear-
if you're not on Patreon already, patreon.com/therapy, $5.
Yeah.
Sign up for $5 a month.
Do it.
This week's is worth the $5.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. You know what?
Yeah,
if you're
this
a
is- I'm
therapist,
challenging you this week.
upgrade for this one.
I'm challenging you this week. If you're not already on Patreon, go over there, sign up, $5.
That's
get
the
in
Jacob
and listen
Smith
to this one.
challenge.
Yeah.
Wide-ranging, diverse array of topics.
Yeah.
The HOAT, the
Spirit.
ongoing debate of spirit and Southwest.
I played
and
a
a
little
lot
kazoo.
of other fun stuff.
And why
And
Jim's
what
going to
crimes?
prison.
Yeah,
Oh
what
yeah,
crimes?
we also
yeah.
play Why Would
Why
Each
we're
of Us
all
Go
going
to
to prison.
Prison?
Yeah.
We never got to me, so
Yeah, we
just
didn't. I
feel
was
free
wondering.
to write in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What
Nick's
would-
Put
most
that in the
likely.
Discord.
What would
Yeah.
Nick go to prison
Yeah.
for?
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you right now. There's a variety of things.
This is a teaser.
What's the most likely?
He drives when his brakes don't work. There's that.
Well,
I
that's
did that
dangerous.
That's once is enough. That feels
And
like
is it illegal?
Oh, but if you,
Yeah. I
if,
mean, it's
if you hurt
ill-advised.
it's
someone,
illegal when
illegal.
you go through that red light
Yeah.
intersection
No,
because
it's
you
illegal.
can't stop.
It's unsafe equipment. It's illegal.
Turn
It is.
yourself
All right,
in.
all right,
It is.
all right.
turn yourself.
Turn yourself in.
Easy, Joe, but it's illegal.
There it is. That's what
all
I'm
you're
talking
getting.
about.
Call your CPA. Ask them if it's illegal.
we talked about this. Patreon.com/therapy. And of course,
You
don't
see,
forget.
Jim can't help but give himself away. When I say like veiled things, Jim cannot help but give himself
I
away.
always do. I step on the rake and fall in the pool. Also, Best of Las Vegas, votejim.net. Go down and check
You
it out.
said last week that you were going to plug
Every
in one
day.
time.
Every device. One time per episode.
Oh.
We've
I need
got
to get
some
on this?
great... Is your clinic on the list? Did you
I'm
check?
gonna go make it.
It's too late. Nominations are
I'm going to
closed.
get on that list.
I'm gonna get on it, just like the
Nominations
HOA
are
board.
closed. Yeah, somebody on the Discord said, "How do I vote for Whitney?" And I said, "By voting for me."
Damn it!
That's the closest Whitney's going to get. Is that she knows the guy who has
You'll
it.
let her get her picture taken.
I'll
with
let
it.
her hold it. I know him.
And then
All right, we got some great questions for today's show. The first one, Stoic struggling to show vulnerability. Hey there, 3 guys, a girl, and a churning place. Did you guys ever see that show? 3 guys, a girl, and a pizza, or 2 guys, 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place?
I've never.
No.
heard
That's where
of
Ryan
that.
Reynolds got his start.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, just goofy sidekick guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, it's a good
It's a
one.
solid story, Jim.
Thanks. I don't
Glad
even think
you
it made
paused it for
one
that.
season.
Yeah, that's worth taking a break from the
Yeah.
letter.
To start,
Yeah.
the quick details. I'm a male and have been with my wife over 8 years. We have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Kinky.
My wife and I get along great. We don't fight. We co-parent very well. We have a good life, but both have good jobs, live in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. My wife has recently informed me that she is no longer in love with me. She still loves me, but does not feel any passion. Supposedly, this stems from the fact that I am not a passionate person, which is probably true. I'm very stoic by nature, the strong, silent type. I've been listening to the show for years, and it's really helped me understand emotions and why people act the way they do, but I myself don't really show them. My wife has told me this before, and I've even seen a couple of therapists to try to help, but both of them basically just said after multiple sessions that there's nothing wrong with me. My life is going well. I'm stoic by nature. But so what is there to complain about? And I agree. I don't see anything wrong with me. But hearing that my wife is no longer in love with me is frightening. I feel sick to my stomach. The thought of losing my life as I know it is terrifying. But these feelings don't show on my face. I can tell my wife I feel this way, but she can't see it for herself. She feels as though she can't open up to me because I don't open myself up to her. I've never felt as if I've closed myself off, though. As I said earlier, generally life is pretty great. So what is there to share or be vulnerable about? I tell her about my day. I don't hide anything. We talk about goals and the future. We're a great team all around. But this isn't enough. I've heard Jim explain the love triangle many times, and I'm okay with our love moving in a different direction, but my wife is not. How can I learn to show more emotion and vulnerability when it's not something I've ever done before? Love you all, Anonymous.
Oof.
Great question.
That is a really good question.
Is it just me, or does it seem like a lot of people are hearing from their spouse that they don't love them anymore?
It's a theme lately. It's a theme.
Like,
it's coming out.
Like one episode or one letter
Last
every
3
episode.
weeks we're catching it. Yeah.
It's possible we have a self-selecting sample here.
Yeah,
That's
it
possible.
could be possible. It seems to be coming out more.
I also blame the pandemic.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just feel like
Pretty
it's
easy to do that.
Yeah.
it's got to be something.
Kind of an easy out for you therapy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not us.
Yeah, no. But yeah, sorry to hear that.
We're the problem.
What do you? I was wondering.
There's something about our listeners that when they start listening to the show, all of a sudden their
Their lives
spouses
get
just
worse.
don't
Just
like
hate
them anymore.
Weird.
I mean, one of the things that I thought of actually was, I know you're joking about that, but more like correlation aspect of if a guy, in this case, a guy's able to hear his wife say that, like, "Oh, I don't love you," or "I'm not in love with you anymore." To me, him being more in tune with emotions and hearing her say that, even though he feels like everything's okay. In the past, I feel like a lot of men would have been like, everything's fine, and then she blindsided me with a divorce. But I kind of almost saw this as like, oh, they're writing in saying, oh, my wife's expressing these things I'm concerned, as like, well, now they notice them.
Yeah.
Because they're listening to our show.
Certainly.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
It seems like a problem, but really, is it a problem, or is it like you're able to kind of jump ahead of that? Or
Something has just occurred to me. And that is, in these people writing in, the I'm no longer in love with you. I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
That to me has really bothered me every time we've heard that. Every time the last few times that we've heard people say things like this, that really bothers me, and I believe I just realized why. I use anger to work through so many things. When I get a hold of a problem like this, oftentimes just getting mad about it will kind of drive me to then think about it and figure out how to solve the issue, solve the problem, whatever that problem is. Being told I still love you, but I'm not in love with you is such a weirdly kind thing. Like, there's nothing to be mad about in that. And it's like, where do I even begin to work through this and work on this? And like, is there a problem that I can solve in this, or is this just unsolvable? This would be so frustrating to me.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Good
Yeah.
point.
would you? I mean, I know it's theoretical. Would you ask your partner then, like, what?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I would try to find ways to
Like,
fix
what
it.
do you mean?
Yeah.
Or are you going to leave me?
Right.
Like, or
Well, yeah, you navigate it.
Right.
But I mean, in this writer's case, I think what they're sharing, I think it is very difficult.
Yeah.
But in their case, it's fortunate that they've talked enough about this with their partner that the wife can say, look, after 8 years, and again, I feel for you, writer, because I'm sure this is who you were 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And like, this is what they signed
Yep.
up for. You have 2 kids, and humans do change.
Yeah.
Your spouse has changed. And she's saying, I feel like I need this deeper connection and mutual vulnerability.
It's also possible that Anonymous is more withdrawn than he was 8 years ago.
Could be changing.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that because I have been accused of
No.
J'accuse
I was like, wait for
I
it.
have been accused
of murder.
of being stoic.
This has come out before. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I have been accused of being stoic, which I don't have any. I can't fight that. I 100%
because you're too
am.
stoic
I am very stoic
to fight it.
But I do, What?
No,
You don't fight it because you're stoic. You
Yeah.
accept
Oh,
it.
I got it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
There you go.
That was a deep
Wow.
philosophy joke.
That was.
and-
I
I didn't think it was that deep, but I guess it
wasn't-
was.
Oh, for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was-
apparently.
That was very deep. But I do think that has not always been the case. I think I've become more stoic. And I don't know if it's just history and relationships or if it's just getting older. Because I think as you kind of get older, which the two of you eventually will figure out.
The wisdom of Nick.
yeah.
I don't know why Nick just pointed with both hands
Can we
towards
have a
me.
wisdom for Nick jingle?
Tell us again, Grandpa, about what the past was like.
But like, I don't know, like when you get older, you just get more selective about things that you choose to get emotional about.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
You know, just like, okay, I'm not going to get emotional about this. You know, like when I was younger, like anything would just get me emotional. And as you get older, you're just kind of like, and you just kind of move on,
Apathy
you know?
sets in. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's part of it. But
I mean, for sure, like the thousands of people who listen to me on multiple podcasts every week might have something else to say about this. But in regular life, I'm actually pretty quiet and just let things go all the time because of what Nick is saying. Like as I've gotten older, I'm like, man, I just don't care about that at all.
yeah.
I don't care about that, good, bad, or indifferent. I just don't have anything to say about that.
Well, I wanted
Moving
to
on.
ask you three what your thoughts were on that word stoic or strong and silent type is how they worded it.
Yeah.
I would be curious
As a
if
dude.
that's how Anonymous describes himself or if that's how his wife describes him.
Great.
That's my first
I
question.
think it's also helping us understand that he's a type.
Yeah.
And that type is inexpressive. And that's how I hear it as I'm an
They don't wear
inexpressive
their heart on their
person.
sleeve.
But I think that the writer's also trying to help us understand I am having angst and anguish and feelings. I
Yeah.
am so afraid of losing my family. I don't know how to show it. And that's a real thing for a lot of people. It doesn't come out of them. And other people look at them and they're like, are you unaffected? I'm going to leave you.
Yeah.
And you're like, you seem fine. And you're trying to tell them like, no, I'm terrified. And they're like, but you say it like, no, I'm very bothered by this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you?
Yeah.
I don't think you give a shit whether we're married. No, you're the
Yes.
love of my life. What? Like it's not expressive.
And I agree with your previous therapist that nothing is wrong with you.
Right.
But it's also really important to distinguish that nothing being wrong with you doesn't mean that your life is without problems.
Yes.
Right? So those are two different things. I don't think anything is wrong with you. However, there's obviously an obstacle, right? There's something in here that's happening that is problematic. But it's not necessarily you being a problem.
What would any of you say to someone who walked into your office and said, I want to be more expressive with my emotions.
Yeah.
Can you help me be more expressive with my emotions?
Okay, here's what I've done.
Great.
Yeah.
From personal experience, having been so wrongfully accused of being stoic.
Says the man who accused somebody in the studio of shenanigans in Patreon.
And was set
Defeated by the court.
I was, yeah.
You had your day in court.
I had my day in court.
I'm telling you,
I did
$5.
too. I got away with it.
$5 Patreon.
It's worth it.
$5 the Patreon.
A lot happened.
Yeah.
We had an entire court hearing.
We did.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of this is having to do with just when I recognize the feelings, verbalizing them
Yes.
as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And using a lot of I statements. That has been helpful. Now, it doesn't necessarily always lead to emotion, but if I can identify something that happened, I can identify the emotion that I felt, and I can follow it up immediately or as quickly as I can with an I statement talking about how I feel about this,
Yes.
then it creates a dialogue about expressing emotion.
Yes.
Even if I'm not physically displaying it, if I'm verbalizing it more often,
Yeah.
I think that has helped.
As a therapist, when I'm working with men who come off the way that this writer does, strong silent type, you call it stoic, you can call it inexpressive, muted, whatever. One of the things that I want to do with them is help them learn emotional vocabulary and help them start finding those words for themselves. And so I'll audition things. They'll tell me a story and I'll say, "Oh wow, Nick, that must have felt, really disappointing." Like, yeah, I was angry. Were you angry? Or I guess if I were in your situation, maybe I'd feel a little frustrated, but like nobody's really to blame. yeah, I guess I felt frustrated. And like I'm trying to help them suss out like the different colors there. So that's one area, writer, that I would really encourage you to consider is deepening your use of emotional vocabulary, deepening, as Nick said, your use of I statements, feeling word statements, whenever you can, and getting more into this mode of like maybe writing those things down. Because you said, like, my spouse and I, we talk, we connect, we go over the day to day. What are we doing for the future? What's going on with the kids? How was your day? But being able to be more expressive where it's like, how was your day? I had a really exciting day. Oh, you did? Yeah, the taco truck guy was at work, and I've been looking forward to him for such a long time. And last time I missed out on the tacos. I was so disappointed.
So instead of talking about the facts, you're talking about your emotions.
You need to talk about the experience of the facts.
And I think that's important because, like, one of the issues that I always take with this, and it kind of struck home when he writes about that, because I don't open myself up to her. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the accusation. And I think Stoicism often gets confused as being closed off.
Yes.
And it's not really that you're being closed off.
Stoics are often accused of stonewalling.
Yeah.
And so they'll be like, why aren't you opening up to me? Why are you shutting down? It's like, no, I'm here. I'm listening to you. And it's like, no, you don't care what I'm saying. Like, you're unaffected. And it's like, no, I am. I'm listening. And you can't win because it's like, I'm 100% me and I'm 100% here.
Yeah.
This is 100% of what I have on the shelf.
And even when you're participating,
I'm giving you everything that I'm able to give you.
When you're participating in the conversation and you're sharing your thoughts often does not, people don't interpret that as opening up. I consider it opening up, but you have to kind of connect with the emotions, identify feelings, and then people start to think that that's more opening up, which to you as the Stoic is going to feel like the same thing.
Right.
You're just choosing different words.
Yes.
And it's being received in a different way.
Another thing that I've suggested to people before, and I think one guy in particular, very similar case where he was the struggle was, I'm coming off a certain way. And I'm here to get help with that, right? And so, like, okay. And sure, phase one is like, let's accept you for who you are. Mm-hmm. But phase two is also, what are you here for? What you get to be the boss. What do you need from me? Mm-hmm. And so if you need dating advice, I'm going to give you dating advice. And this guy had said something very similar. I need to find a way to be more expressive. So we started with language and really getting better at that and being deliberate in the way you describe your life to others and your experiences to others, giving them a window into your mind. That's fundamentally what vulnerability is meant to do. Instead of just saying, I went to work. I was going to bring
up connection.
Yeah, giving that truth away. But the second thing I had this particular guy do, and writer, this might be helpful for you. I had them at this time, it was to buy a book, but now there might be videos on it and just on YouTube. But I had them buy an acting book. And in this book is page after page of photos of actors portraying different emotions.
Yeah.
And like 10 different male models and 10 different female models of very different ethnicities and types, each portraying their own version of different emotions, page after page. And that was really helpful because that is a form of language. There is a form of literacy that goes into reading body language. And this person also was very inexpressive, even facially and tonally. And so we were actually practicing how to put experiences and emotions and communication into your body and into your face and into the voice. And writer, if that's not something that you really have as part of your literacy, as part of your fluency, that really might be something to explore as well.
Yeah, when they mentioned very specific feelings of feeling terrified or frightened, I thought if I were in session with that person, I would ask them, what do you think when you're watching a movie? Is literally where my mind went. Mm-hmm. When someone it looks terrified or frightened, what face do they make? Right. Or what are their actions like? And even kind of almost like a mild level of role playing. Like
Yes.
Absolutely in session.
So and I agree with that, and play devil's advocate.
I love it.
Because the listener may be hearing this and saying like, well, isn't that disingenuous?
Feels fake.
Aren't I faking it? Mm-hmm. What would you say to that?
So I would say it's all about perception of the person that you're interacting with. You are feeling those feelings. It's not really fake. Mm-hmm. You may feel like you're acting fake because what you're used to is the stoicism. but you're expressing a genuine emotion.
So you're really just practicing getting the outside to reflect what's inside.
Yeah. And for your partner, if you want them to, you're adjusting your communication type so that they can see your feelings.
There's the word I wanted, was communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all this is communication.
So yeah,
this is emotional communication. And I mean, like, as long as you are displaying what communicates your emotion to your partner, that's probably what they're looking for.
It's all more accurate.
Yeah. And they mentioned going to a therapist twice, but I did not see couples counseling in there. They said, I have been to a therapist twice, but if you go together, and I really recommend if she has expressed she is like teetering out the door, like if you're worried she might be leaving now, go to therapy now with her instead of waiting till she's got her bags packed and the session becomes about leaving, and rather than trying to save
the first step is going to be having a conversation.
Yes.
Do you want to save this? Do you want to try to work on this?
Right.
I want to try to work on this. Do you want to try to work on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, and also I think
and the answer might be no, it's too late.
Well, that might be one of the benefits, I think, of couples therapy, too, is because somebody, like if that couple were here right now, the three of us, we'd probably be asking the wife, look, change might be possible, but we also need to right-size your expectations because this is still what you married. Right?
And maybe clarify for her, like make it really clear from a third party, because sometimes we get stuck in our own heads, especially in relationships where you have an expectation of your partner based on movies or TV shows or your friends' relationships or whatever.
Yes.
And instead having a very real conversation of him having moments in that therapy or therapeutic environment to say, this is how I express maybe fear or love or whatever.
Right.
Maybe helping him adjust that a little, but also if it just gets a little bit better, different.
Is that meaningful?
Can you see that he's still feeling these deep feelings?
Yeah, and for
you're
the
helping
wife,
communicate.
right, and if the wife's not already in therapy, I mean, if I'm one-on-one with the wife, that's what I'm going to ask her, is like, look, if Ryder could make some meaningful improvements that felt different from them, would that be enough?
Yeah.
Like one standard deviation from their
question.
baseline, is that good enough? Or are you at a point in your life where you've really fixated on something entirely different?
Really good question.
You're seeing actors on TV, you're seeing men that your friends date or married to. Are you going through something where you're like, you know what, I just fundamentally want a whole different experience, and that's causing me to feel detached from the now?
Yeah.
I would be interested in exploring that. But Ryder, since you can't just send your wife to therapy to explore those things, Whitney's right. Couples therapy is where some hard questions need to be discussed and answered.
I like the idea about, kind of learning like how this individual experiences this emotion and learning from that person. Because we all know people where, like, if we just pick one emotion, fear, and I can say like, okay, well, I know how Laura experiences fear and how she displays it. I know how my mom displays,
who I met this weekend.
Fear. Yes, you did.
She's very nice.
She got on a plane?
No, you missed it because you weren't on the Zoom.
Oh, but Peter
for
met
the
her.
Draft.
Peter seemed to like her a lot.
There was no Zoom. Y'all are making this up.
There was a Zoom. You'd know that if you were in the chat.
Like my sister, I know how she experiences fear. I definitely know how Jim experiences fear.
We all do.
And so
that's what it looks like right there.
Because
it's always that. He's like the Hulk.
Because they're all different. No one doesn't have fear. There's no one who doesn't have it, but everybody experiences it and shows it in different ways. Yeah, right. And I think that's what's really complicated for someone who is very stoic is it's harder to perceive that. And you have to really know this person, and you kind of have to be open to figuring that out.
Right.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of room here, Ryder, for you to explore yourself, through emotional vocabulary, perhaps through some acting
feeling wheel.
Curriculum. Yep, the feeling wheel.
The wheel of feel.
Wheel of feel.
But all ideas that could, allow you to explore yourself a little bit more and maybe train in some new ways. Going to an improv class. I think improv training is a great way to study expression and communication, because all communication is encoded signaling for a partner, and improv really has you bouncing things off of each other, but a lot of that has to be signaled through your body, your face, and your tone for your partner to pick up on where you're going with it. Yeah. So I think that that's a great way to explore communication.
We always recommend therapy. We never recommend improv enough.
Not as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
add it
the
to
one.
the list at the bottom, an improv class.
That's the one.
Let's do it.
Good luck on this one, Ryder. We're here for you. Would love to hear some follow-up later on to see how things improve or just grow. So
Yeah.
we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about unconditional positive regard in marriage. Malwedge, you're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Robert Brownie Jr., Mintz, Kayla Lansbury, Cindy Ash, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Adam Hathaway, Dan Martin, Lib, and Heyo.
Heyo.
Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapist at patreon.com/therapy.
Malwedge is what brings us together today.
We got some trivia from Myra. Thank you, Myra.
Bring it.
Which came first?
The chicken.
Boy.
I watched
Okay.
This is Nick's game.
There are 14 of these. So let's just do, we'll do 3 at a time, and then we'll finish the rest off at the end. All right. Which came first? The iPod or Justin Bieber?
Fuck. iPod.
I think iPod 2.
There was never an iPod 2.
No, just the
iPod
original
the
one.
iPod Shuffle.
3. iPod Shuffle Mini.
iPod was like...
Now, I assume we're meaning his birthday.
So
not
these are
when he made it
50-50s.
Oh.
These are 50-50s.
Oh.
I was thinking like when he became famous.
I think
Oh.
it's
you know what?
I think it's
Okay,
birthday.
you're right.
If
That
it's,
makes
if
more
it's the
sense.
birth of Bieber.
Because I'm looking at the rest of these, and they all feel like
All right. Shit.
birthdays.
Oh, in that case,
20.
Bieber.
Yeah, Bieber probably.
Bieber came first.
I think Bieber came first.
He was like
Because I think
13.
iPod was
Yeah.
around 2004,
I had an iPhone whenever he
2005.
got big.
Yeah.
So
Maybe a
it
little
had
earlier
to
than
be.
that.
The iPhone came out in 06, 05, 06.
Yeah,
I
he's
was
So it
it's
was
been around longer than that.
before.
Oh.
But since
20-something
2000s,
years.
I
And
was
then
in like
how
middle
old is
school.
Justin
I don't.
Bieber?
I think he's like
He's
late
25 or
20s.
6.
I think he's
I'm
yeah.
sticking with I'm sticking with the
26.
Biebs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bieber
I
too.
think Bieber.
I'm gonna go iPod.
All right.
Let's see.
Show me potato salad.
Biebs.
I gotta sneeze. Hold on.
Oh, he's gonna say.
Uh-huh.
Oh, shit. All right, hold on. Justin Bieber came
Wow.
first.
That was very
I thought
dramatic.
I was like, it's
Sorry.
just
I thought it
was a
build
bit.
up. I was like,
Yeah.
No, I was not a bit. I
I
really
did
did
too.
sneeze.
I was like, okay, way to rub it in.
Born on March 1st, 1994, iPod came out in 2001.
Gotta be a
Oh, okay.
believer.
2001.
There you
Wow. Oh,
Jeez.
Okay. Number 2, the floppy disk or Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Fuck.
Or
I
wait.
don't know how.
Oh.
old
The
it is.
floppy, the
Jesus.
5.5
out?
inch, the 5-inch floppy disk or the 3.5-inch floppy disk.
Oh,
You have all the information I have.
Okay.
Ah, fucking Myra.
Fucking Myra.
I'm gonna assume
Help, Dwayne.
it's gotta be the 5.5.
It's gotta be the little one.
It's gotta be the floppy disk.
yeah, the little floppy
I'm gonna go with
disk
the
that
floppy
goes in your
disk.
regular computer.
No, the bigger one.
What are you talking
The bigger
about?
one.
The big floppy one that you
Like
never
the
actually
giant
messed
one.
with. Yeah.
No, that's stupid. Nobody used those. It was
But
the
that's a
little
floppy
ones.
disk.
That's a floppy. That was
Those-
the original floppy disk.
That's
I
the
think
second generation. We're talking
guys are
the
so
original.
the
fucking
iPod
old.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
This is Oregon Trail floppy disk.
oh, I had Oregon Trail.
This is OG Oregon Trail.
Yeah, OG.
Well-
By
Yeah.
my time, we had Oregon Trail on a little disc.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
no,
fuck
no,
kind of.
no.
No,
I'm
no.
gonna
Back
say
in the day,
Dwayne.
Oregon Trail was on multiple bigger discs.
Yes.
Wow.
You had to swap the discs around.
I do remember that. we had a little box.
I'm going
of
to say The Rock because
The Rock is probably.
Is he 50?
60?
How old do we think The Rock is?
I think he's like.
60.
I think
no,
he is. I think he's
no.
way up there, man.
He's 50.
You think he's 50 flat?
55? 50? 50. I think 51.
I'm gonna guess the
I-
floppy disk
I
kind of
think he is
came around
knocking
probably
on
in the
60s.
late 60s.
Yeah. So
What?
if you say
Yep.
if you say The Rock was born in say 1970,
That
which would
puts
put him at 52 years
53.
old,
Okay.
Yeah,
somewhere in there. Yeah, I'm
I'm
gonna say
still
floppy
sticking
disk.
with Rock.
I'm going floppy disk.
I feel floppy disk too, though under protest because I feel there's only one real floppy.
All right,
Don't
because
listen to us, go with your gut.
if Jim's protesting,
I'm The
then he's
Rock.
on Rock,
You're Rock.
Rock.
and Jim's on the Rock too.
Oh, wait, that's Dwayne
that-
Johnson.
No, that
What's his
wasn't.
name?
Suck it was who was that?
Austin.
That was the ex guy,
The Austin.
Chris something.
No.
No, Stone Cold Steve Austin
Stone
didn't
Cold
say
Steve
suck
Austin. What
it.
did
No,
he
we
do?
didn't.
No, do you smell what the Rock? No, that was smell the Rock.
She's doing the
That was
X,
Rock.
the
The
X
X thing, remember
thrust
that?
pump
Yeah,
under
yeah.
her waist.
I don't know. I just remember everybody doing it.
Who
I don't
was
know
that?
who did it.
Stone Cold.
That's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was Austin 316.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, what's the answer?
Just call people
The
I
answer
feel
is the
good.
floppy disk.
Hey, I'm 2 for 2.
Put your arms down, you
Dwayne The
protest.
How old
Rock
is he?
Johnson, born in
still got the
72.
point.
Ah,
Floppy disk
close.
was invented by IBM in 1967.
There you go.
Wow,
All right.
Jacob's
Okay.
math checked
All right.
out.
Yeah, it
Well
did.
done.
Okay.
One more.
Sliced bread
Ooh,
Nothing's
or
better.
Betty White.
fuck.
Betty's
I'm gonna go
over
Betty
100.
White.
I'm going
She's-
Betty White too.
I'm going Betty White.
Betty
would've been
White's
103.
deep in there, dude.
you're Betty. So you're going Betty as well?
I'm Betty all day,
What are you?
Sliced bread or Betty? What came first?
dude. You know she predates sliced bread.
Yeah, I think Betty.
They were not mass
You're going
producing.
Betty?
No,
sliced
that's
bread.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You going Betty White?
Yeah,
I think people were baking their own bread.
Ooh.
Or you went to a bakery.
All right, I'm gonna go sliced bread. I'm going sliced
Okay.
bread.
It's Betty White.
Betty?
I want Betty.
I know that it's Betty White.
It is Betty White.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Betty
Yes.
White was born
Bad at
in
this game.
1922.
Yeah, I was
Sliced
gonna say
bread was
20
invented in 28. Damn. Do you know where sliced bread was invented?
Sliced bread is
No,
done.
Iowa.
Iowa.
God damn it.
I got one. I got a half
You gotta go where the people are the laziest.
point. They don't want to slice that shit.
No,
if you
we're
want to
just
know how to do
working.
something easy,
Our
find a
efforts-
lazy
our
person and see how
efforts
they
are
do it.
going to other endeavors. That's what that means.
Whitney
All right.
has sprinted to the bathroom. To
Bye,
pee.
Whitney.
All right, now we do the women
She
questions.
does listen
That's funny.
because we talked about that in one episode where she
Oh,
was
that's
gone.
right. Yeah. She just screamed from the bathroom, "Don't talk about me pooping." All right. Unconditional positive regard in marriage. Hey, guys. Whitney, close the door.
Jesus.
Jeez. Light a candle.
Oh my
Christ's
goodness,
sakes. Hey,
that
guys.
is brutal. I'm sorry, there's a cloud over this email writer,
God.
but it is just the noxious fumes coming from the bathroom.
The ground dirt this podcast has hit.
We all
digging
suddenly
deeper.
have brown eyes.
Oh Lord. All right. Hey guys, I, male, used to work in the therapy space, but have now left it for a career in tech.
Even more awesome.
I love the ideas that Carl Rogers and Irving Yalom put out about unconditional positive regard. I think it's possibly the best way to help someone. However, I'm coming across an issue with employing this idea with my partner. I have desires for my wife to eat healthier, exercise more, be more kind when she speaks to me, do her part of the housekeeping, and overall just be a better person. She does not naturally have the same desires. She also has been diagnosed with ADHD and depression, which definitely plays into all this. While I've tried to give her unconditional positive regard, I find it difficult to do so. How do you balance the idea that this psychological method is useful in therapy, but not with your partner? How do you also balance your own desires while also allowing your partner to have their own autonomy? Any communication tips, too? Thanks for anything you can provide. P.S. I like Jim. Your ability to bounce off everyone's insults is amazing.
Backhanded
Ryder.
compliment.
It's my spiritual gift. Yay.
If you could see how he tortures himself off the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realize.
We're nothing.
That's right. Yeah. Teflon. So this is a really good question. So a couple of things here to talk about. For the general audience, we should probably pit stop on Carl Rogers,
Yeah.
Irvin Yalom, what is unconditional positive regard? And then the bottom of the letter has some good questions in it. So therapeutically, you have all these different OG therapists, the founders of different theories, and they each had these different ways of thinking about what would help clients and how to help them, right? And so a lot of you have heard of Freud and Jung and some of these other people had very unique approaches. Carl Rogers was really important in the history of psychotherapy because he was the first one who had an approach that wasn't a theory. He didn't have this idea of like, here's what's going to work and here's like how dreams work and here's like these instincts and these wills and all these different like fundamental motivators and unconscious desire. No, his was like, look, I'm not sure why humans get better from therapy, but they apparently do if we do these couple of things. And so he was really obsessed with the method of therapy. And his first and key component was what he called unconditional positive regard. He said therapy needs to be this one space in your life where you connect with this other person who deeply and empathically and genuinely understands you. They really try to get you. And they do that so well that they achieve an alliance with you, that they have a positive view of you unconditionally. Even if you're telling them that you stole something, even if you're telling them that you rigged the election, even if you did something genuinely bad, they would maybe not agree with that decision, but they would be able to genuinely, with their whole heart, understand why you did what you did. And so that person would become the one safe place that you could really connect and really look at a safe mirror of yourself through their eyes, which like you genuinely. And through that process, you would find the ability to achieve change. So Rogers came out with this in, I think, in the 60s or the 50s. And this, at first, was laughed at. He was widely dismissed as a kook.
If we don't shame ourselves, then how do we get anything done?
Right. And so everybody put him down, and everybody just said he's not serious. But he was also a rigorous research scientist. And so he subjected his theories to science to try to show that this stuff really worked. Now, in 2023, his approach has been universally validated. Not only is it validated, it is now considered to be the essential common factors, the unconditional positive regard being one of them, that actually make all therapy work regardless of the theory. So his approaches, his methods outlasted every other theory, every other theoretical approach, all of which have equal standing, if and only if they use the common factors, the most essential ingredient, the alliance, being the one that Carl Rogers put forward. So in this letter, we have a colleague who's saying, okay, I believe in that. I like Irvin Yalom, who's another theorist, who's actually still alive. I like Carl Rogers. I'm trying to do that with my spouse to help them change. That's not working.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take, to use your therapy skills to try to create change in your own household.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because can you be, I don't know if we can be that person
that was
to our
my
partner.
very first thought. I was like, there's a reason that therapeutic relationship is there, and your spousal or partner relationship, romantic relationship, whatever you want to call it, is there too. I don't know if you want to be like trying to mix that too much.
I agree with Carl Rogers. I agree with person-centered. I agree with all of that. How do I use it to make Laura wash the dishes?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And be a whole different person.
I don't think it works.
Use that to keep Laura from eating cookies in the goddamn bed.
This is the line. Hypnosis didn't work. I tried the lobotomy.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying unconditional positive regard. I'm getting nowhere. No, Whitney, I think you're right, because, to this point, Ryder.
Did it.
No, I really do think you're right. Rogers would say nobody else can do what the therapist can do. He's not saying these are just, these work. He was saying the therapist can occupy a special space because I'm not married to you.
Right.
You eating the cookies in the bed can't possibly affect me.
Doesn't bother me.
You come to my office, we connect here
for 1 hour
a clinical hour. That's right. And so
we're going to work for an hour.
Yeah, we're going to do the work.
We're going to do some work for an hour.
It's a different relationship.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset.
Which is also why
you're not walking into that office to do the work.
Right.
When you're cooking dinner, you're not cooking dinner prepared to do the work.
Different person.
Yeah.
And this is also why we're forbidden from having dual relationships.
Right.
So we can occupy only this one space where we can provide a healthy and supportive mirror for this other human so that they can go through a change process. And we coach them. We still, give them feedback. But it's from this angle of, I genuinely want you to succeed. I like you. And I genuinely see everything you do and why you do it. Mm-hmm. And I see how you trip over your own feet.
Yeah.
And I love you enough to say, let me show you how you can do that better. And because you know I care, you want to know what I can offer you, right? So only from a therapist perspective or position do I think these techniques work.
Yeah.
In fact, Ryder, and this might be scandalous, I don't know, I think you're doing the exact opposite of what you should.
I was going to say it's contradicting.
It is contradicting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody agrees with this, but for me, in my book, Dad Advice, 50 Fatherly Life Lessons.
Dad Advice.
I've never heard
Dad
of that.
Available on Amazon.
What is
Fatherly
this?
Lessons.
Dadadvicebook.com.
Fatherly advice. That's what it is.
If you're not a dad, don't read it.
It's dadadvicebook.com. It's for everybody. I have one in there that is love conditionally. And in that, I really believe this. I believe that we've created a lot of very much influenced by Judeo-Christianity and certain like values of like unconditional love. And like we've told people this Disneyland version of relationships that you're meant to marry somebody and love them unconditionally. And I don't know that human beings in agreement relationships can have any kind of unconditional component.
I think the only unconditional love that exists is the love a dog has for a human.
That might be it. Because I don't think,
But do you feed
I think
it?
humans
'Cause
in
I
a
think
healthy...
then it's the conditional.
That is
Honestly,
the condition.
My dogs, I could
like-
not feed them and they would still love
But
me.
if a stranger
Until you die,
was
then they
standing
eat your
there,
ass.
No,
That
that's
will
cats.
happen.
That's cats.
Is it cats?
Yeah,
Yeah,
cats will
cats will fucking eat you.
They don't even wait for
they
you to cool
hungry.
down.
They hungry.
You
They
hit
bite me and I'm alive.
97.5 and they're going.
Cats are like, your blood pressure's a little high. And they put a fucking napkin around their neck.
I'm gonna have to think on that one. Conditional love.
Here's what I
Ooh.
mean. Let me unpack
maybe
it.
for
I-
kids.
Let me unpack it.
Like maybe for your kids.
Well, okay, no, we're making. See,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
need to hear more
misnomer
of
here.
this.
There's a misnomer.
Okay.
You said a relationship by choice though, didn't you?
Yes. So, well,
kids
yes.
are out.
And so, but
Okay.
here's the thing. Even with a child, I've met plenty of people who have been so mistreated by family members in their life that they no longer would say that they feel loved or that they love them, that they are not worthy of that love, that relationship has been abusive and bad. And this person is not, and then the parent
It's certainly
will,
not guaranteed for a child.
Right,
I
and
don't mean to imply that
right.
that's the
And I've
case
seen
either.
situations where the parent will say, "You have to still love me. I am your mother."
Right.
And the person will say, "No, I don't.
Not how that works.
You do
Right.
not deserve unlimited, love from me just because you gave birth to me. You can have some kind of permanent connection to me, but that doesn't mean that I owe you that." And so my point here is whether we like it or not, even if you philosophically believe that you should give somebody unconditional love, I don't believe any human is actually capable of it. You can have unconditional alliance. You can pledge allegiance. You can have unconditional loyalty. Those are willpower choices. You're making a choice. But love is something very differently. And I don't want people to have an unconditional approach to their relationships because that creates a perfect place for mistreatment. Just like unconditional power corrupts. If you say, hey, there's nothing you can do to ruin our relationship. Thanks. Now I have I can do whatever. I can treat you any kind of way. I don't ever have to worry about that. But none of our relationships really work like that. Your marriage is going to be a consensual agreement between two people who are trying to love on each other. If you're married to a train wreck who's abusing you and treating you badly, you do not owe that person love. Now, if you have a religious mentality and you're like, hey, this is how I, as a Catholic, believe in this, and so I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, fine. That transcends all of this. But as a general rule, I think that it's healthy for people to have a mindset of conditionality. I think that matters in this letter because when the writer's saying, I'm trying to approach my spouse with unconditional positive regard, I think that as a spouse, you have the right to tell your partner, I'm unhappy with you.
Right. You don't want to be enabling.
Yeah. As a therapist, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say, I'm disappointed and hurt by you, client. But as your husband, I'm going to say, I'm disappointed and hurt. There's that you're not carrying your weight in this house. I'm doing all the work around here. I'm carrying all this, housework. It's hurting our relationship. I don't have to have this unconditional positive regard for you.
I'm gonna keep thinking. I have a lot of things in
Go
my head,
for
but
it.
I
Unpack it,
I want Nick to go first.
Ah, shit.
Unless you don't want to, then I can just free flow my thoughts, and it'll be.
I guess I'm trying to find a way. And Whitney and you may be thinking the same thing because I'm trying to find a way to express my interpretation of this. That I think that maybe I'm misinterpreting it because I think the way that I first look at this, when I first read this, I kind of get, it almost kind of sounds like, hey, kind of like my example, like, okay, I want this unconditional positive regard and I want this because I want my wife to do these things.
Right.
I want her to eat healthier. I want her to exercise more. I want her to be kinder to me when she speaks to me, to do the part with the housekeeping, to be an overall better person.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get that that's important in a relationship. I also, on the other end, kind of look at that and it does raise some flags for me.
Agreed.
Okay.
As in, like,
Totally agree.
because, like, are these things that she was doing in the past when you first met, or are these things that like you got into this relationship thinking that you could change this person? Because I think that makes a difference. And then also, you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, things change and relationships change. And that doesn't mean that we have to always, like Jim said, we don't have to always love somebody no matter what happens. Because things happen in a relationship and things change and dynamics change. And sometimes, as evidenced by the first letter, people fall out of love because I feel like I can't communicate with you.
Right.
Or I feel like, you know, things have changed so much, I'm no longer physically attracted to you or whatever. But I'm always just a little cautious of kind of using psychology to try to manipulate and change somebody.
Yeah, especially these methods. I don't think they would work.
No, I was thinking that ADHD. I'm like, you got to do some other things to help with that.
And again, writer, I don't know if that's what you meant. I could be completely misrepresenting this, and I don't want to misrepresent your letter. But, you know, I'm just going to be honest. That's kind of how I heard it the first time it came out. Now, I don't know. So I guess that's kind of where I was at with it.
Yeah, I guess I basically go back to sort of what I was saying to Jim, where I don't know that there's like room to be trying to therapize your partner. Not like I have personal experience with that or anything. Doesn't usually work out very well. They can kind of see through that pretty quickly usually. And
they can tell by the tone.
Yeah, it's a tone. It's the
thing.
soft, yeah.
Does anybody ever tell you that? Like people go, hey, you're using your therapy voice with me right now.
I just was talking to someone the other day and I like just kind of instinctually asked them, I was trying to be very gentle and ask them a question. And as I said, I was like, oh my God, that sounded so fucking therapeutic. And then literally they answer my question. They go, by the way, that was a very therapist thing of me. I was like, I know, I call myself out of my head.
Yours is obvious.
Yeah, no, I can't hide
very
mine.
obvious.
It's terrible.
I try to hide mine.
I think that I don't worry about that so much. I don't think it happens so much for me because I've spent so much time working in
and in stoicism
and working in substance use treatment, where it's like, not to say that we're not therapeutic.
You can be a little harder.
Yeah, we can be a little bit more genuine.
Same with sexual offenders.
Kind of right.
Be a little more confrontational with you.
It doesn't seem like a good idea. From my outside point of view, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
What doesn't?
Trying to therapize your partner.
Yeah.
Well, the writer says, how do you also balance your desires while allowing your partner to have their own autonomy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think part of this has to do with why are you wanting to demonstrate or show unconditional positive regard?
To get the changes that...
Okay, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're doing it because I want to see these results.
Are you goal-oriented?
Yes. If it's goal-oriented, then I think we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
If you're saying that you want to demonstrate unconditional positive regard because you think it's helpful for a relationship, or like because like it's going to benefit the relationship, I think that's fine. I think that like, because it's like respect. Like I want to show Jim respect because Jim has earned respect. I don't want to show Jim respect so that he'll do this thing for me.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah. So I think all of us are in agreement. The methods that haven't been working for you will not work for you and probably shouldn't. And so now we open up this new question of when you want your partner to change, but then on the other hand, they sort of have a right to their own autonomy and their own choices.
Yeah.
Now, some of the things on the writer's complaint list, like, division of household chores. I mean, to me, that's on the table, man. Like, that's not a fucking autonomy thing. If I'm like, if Nick and I are roommates and I'm like, hey, man, you're not like doing the 5 things we agreed you're going to do. And it's like, hey, man, my body, my choice. Like, no, fuck you. Do the goddamn dishes.
No. Here's what you said. You said
that we agreed upon.
We agreed to do.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so very important words there. So that's the other thing that we want to make sure.
That implies a discussion happened at some point.
That there was some sort of agreement, that something happened, and then something changed.
Right.
And I think that's an important piece, because if let's just say I'm in a relationship with somebody who's a complete slob.
Right.
And doesn't
Laura.
I'm not going to name any names.
No, it could be anybody.
It could be anybody. Could be anybody I'm in a relationship.
Yeah,
with.
that's
Did not
right.
name any names, right? No, yeah,
And won't.
could be any of the number of women who I currently
live with. Yeah.
No, but
Well,
like,
your dogs are girls too.
yeah,
So.
Fair. They're slobs.
yeah, and they all pee in the house.
They never,
All of them pee in
all
the
of
house.
them pee
clean
in the
up
house.
after
Different
themselves.
locations.
Yep. Always on the little pads, though.
But like if I knew that going into it, and then we're 6 years in,
Yeah.
and then now I say, hey, you need to change. Now I feel like I have a right to say that.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I also have I have to keep my expectations realistic.
That's fair.
Like, okay, well, this person has been demonstrating this behavior. Like, I knew what I signed up for
Right.
when I got into this. I think it's unhealthy, and I think a lot of people get into relationships with the idea of like, okay, I don't like these flaws, but I can change these flaws in this other person. I think that's dangerous because maybe you can influence a few of those, but you're not going to turn this person into your dream person.
Yeah.
Not with that
there's-
attitude.
Not without pills.
All right.
Whitney,
Love
you
that
brought up
shit.
a good point, which is the writer, or you hinted at this earlier. The writer says wife has ADHD and depression. And the writer's saying, man, I really wish I could help my spouse do the things, right? Exercise, eat better, stay up on household chores, stay organized, be a better person.
That all sounds like depression and ADHD.
That
I'm like,
certainly sounds like it's ADHD and depression, which is probably why the writer who has a therapeutic background was like, oh, let me use my therapeutic tools.
yeah, I
Maybe
can
that
see
will
that.
help move the
Let me help.
the boulder.
Yeah.
I think we all agree it can't. You're not in a position to leverage those tools to move the boulder out of the way. You're in the relationship.
Correct.
The therapist is outside the relationship. That's why the lever works.
I think it's important to say too, though. I think we all agree on this, and tell me if we don't. That I think the writer's intentions are good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the writer has nothing but good intentions.
They want
here.
the best for
Yes.
themselves
Trying
and
to
their spouse.
Agreed.
I just
Trying to
don't
help.
think the writer is going to get the results that they're hoping for using these methods.
Correct.
So when you have a spouse who has ADHD and they're struggling to get organized and just kind of get things going, I mean, what kind of coaching can we give on that?
Well, I mean, I was gonna jump into the communication aspect.
Yeah.
I feel like before you can start with even the actions, just being curious. I know we said that before, but being curious with your spouse, like, hey, I've noticed, you have to be really sensitive. Like, this is what I've experienced. So, hey, I've noticed that you have been having a little bit harder time getting some things done around the house. Is there anything we can work together on, or is there something I can help with, or how are you doing? I just want to check in with you. Something that opens up that communication for them to share. Yeah, I really have been meaning to get to vacuuming the house, and I just haven't been able to do it.
Right.
So you can see if their intention is there and there's a barrier in the way. Whether that is the ADHD or the depression side, if it's either of those. But just gaining clarification on that, I think will help you have a little more understanding of how to help them, because then that goes into the actions.
Right.
Like with ADHD, what can you set up around your home, or can you help with reminders? Asking them that, would you like me to help you with reminders?
Right.
Like, I don't want to push it on you, because some people will be like, don't tell me what to do. But would that be helpful? See what they say. Is there something else you've tried before that's been helpful? And I can
Right.
we're a team.
That's key.
Give me a
Yeah.
different way to approach that, because
Yeah.
approaching that conversation with, here are the things I've noticed you've been slacking on lately,
Well,
in the most kindest way
said it
possible.
at the end. The end is it's us versus the problem. We're a team. Hey, I think that we're struggling to keep everything organized lately. I know we're both frustrated with that.
Is that how you would open the conversation with something?
Acknowledge what's
that?
missing. Acknowledge what's
Yeah.
missing. I know that both of us have been just
We're
like
struggling
not
to keep up
sticking-
with the house.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we're both eating a lot of junk lately. Like we're not, keeping up with what we wanted to cook and stuff. It's last minute.
Yeah.
I know we're both dropping the ball on that. Let's study the problem together. What do you notice happens? Well, I notice I get home and then I forget to, I didn't defrost the chicken or whatever. Okay, cool. And like attacking it from a task management organizational approach, I think especially with ADHD, is really the most effective strategy.
Yeah.
And then being super understanding that even the best plans against ADHD are going to
They'll
take
have
a lot of
hiccups,
time.
and it'll take a lot of reminders or a lot of patience. It can be really difficult.
There's some
sometimes,
really good books out there right now on ADHD and couples and family planning that are just organizational tools that other people
Love
with
that.
ADHD have found that work.
Love that.
You know, to Jacob's question, like how else would you deal with it? If it's something like depression, I would deal with that as differently than I would like with household chores.
Yeah.
Like, so I would always start
Broaching this topic is going to be hard.
Yeah.
I always like to bring it up from a point of concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like this type too, where I don't beat around the bush. I don't like to ask probing questions because then sometimes, you know, the person kind of figures it out.
Nick's
so
not very good at it.
I'm not. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses.
Stoicism.
I play my strengths.
So, Jim, how
And for
did
me-
those gifts get under your Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Did you see who put them there?
When you talk to your CPA, did you mention? No, so I like, for me, I would come up like, hey, I'm kind of concerned. Here's something I noticed. I noticed that I'm kind of starting to see that you I know you deal with depression. I noticed that you're starting to sleep a lot during the day, or, and I'm really worried about that.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah. Are you feeling okay? And then the question that I always ask too is there anything I can help with? What can I do? Give me something I can do to help. And then sometimes they're receptive to that, as opposed to, saying like, hey, I wish you would do this.
Yeah.
It's more like, hey, how can I help?
Yeah.
Well, and now I think I'm also appreciating why the writer's struggling with unlimited positive regard. Because they might be doing exactly all this. And then when their spouse is like, yeah, it just didn't work out again, they're taking that therapeutic approach, being like, shoot, okay. Well, hey, no big deal. You tried your best. And that is what a therapist would do.
Yeah.
We'd be like, no big deal. Shrug off the failure. But like at some point, you're the spouse and you're like, I
it's
need you
almost
to
like-
vacuum the fucking carpet.
Yeah. So it's almost kind of like using unconditional positive regard as not even for the other person, not for the spouse, but for the writer to deal with the writer's frustration.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I'm really frustrated. I'm having a tough time having to constantly display unconditional positive regard when I'm so frustrated about all these things.
It could be that. And they could be saying, can I bare my fangs here? Would that be healthy? And honestly, I would counsel you and your spouse the way I would counsel any couple. I would love for you to use I feel statements.
Yeah.
I can't use I feel statements. I'm the therapist.
Yeah.
You're not. You should be using I feel statements with your partner and saying, I feel frustrated
I'm feeling
that I can't rely on you. And I'm also understanding that it's not entirely within your control, but I'm part of your habitat. I'm part of your ecosystem, and I am upset. And disappointed and hurt.
And the reason why we don't use I feel statements as therapists is because it's not about us.
Not about me. Yeah, not about Jim.
That's why you can do the positive regard, unconditional positive regard, because you don't care. You're not
I'm
invested
detached from
in
the
that.
situation. I'm always trying to see it from your perspective.
Just your client.
I'm just interested in your feelings. But if I'm part of your ecosystem, my feelings matter too.
Yeah.
So, writer, self-reflection, self-revelation, telling your partner how you're affected, what your truth is, letting them experience some dignity of discomfort. That doesn't mean to be an asshole, but you are allowed to let somebody know that you're disappointed, that it's not going well, that you have different expectations, and still be solution focused, as Whitney said, not just throwing them under the bus, but saying, hey, I'm willing to collaborate, I'm willing to work on this, but I am distraught, I am bothered, and I'm not just going to hide that and sugarcoat it and make it seem like I'm always fine, because right now it's not healthy either. I don't want you to pretend to always be okay in this relationship for fear of hurting your partner's feelings or like they're going to regress because you're being honest. You need to be honest in a constructive way. So I think that would probably be my advice on this.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about finding joy in Anhedonia.
Ooh.
You ever been there? It's a terrible place. You're listening
Geography question.
to Pod Therapy.
What countries does Anhedonia border?
Next to Bohemia.
Yes. All right. Today's episode is brought to you by Robert Brownie Jr. Men's, Kayla Lansbury, Cindy Ash, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Adam Hathaway, Dan Martin, Lib, and Heyo.
Heyo.
And if you want to sponsor a show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Which happened first? Furby or Fergie?
God damn, I had so many Furbies.
I had
my
at least
mom
one, and it was
collected them.
creepy.
Oh, terrifying.
Your mom collected
I feel like I
them?
know this
Dude, you don't even know the hell.
How many did she have?
I'm gonna say Furby.
My family owned a store in the Boulevard Mall, and there was a
What?
Hallmark store right across from us. My mom was in there getting Beanie Babies and fucking Furbies. We had a wall of them at home. Like it was, so many.
I'm going to go Fergie. You said Furby.
I'm on Furby.
And this is when she was
I'm
born.
going to say Fergie.
Oh, Fergie was born way before Furby.
Because I think Fergie is
I was
about my age
Yeah.
or a little bit older.
Yeah, she's
And
in
I
her
feel
late
like
70s.
I remember
Wait, is
when
this the
Furby
singer or the
The body's so Fergalicious.
Prince Andrew's
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm thinking this is in the
shit.
Black Eyed Peas.
I was thinking
That's
Black
what I
Eyed
was
Peas
thinking,
too,
too.
but I'm
Okay.
just saying. Fergie's
Who's the other Fergie?
Prince Andrew's wife?
yeah.
ex-wife.
If it's that Fergie, then it's that Fergie.
That-
Is
yeah,
that-
definitely.
but I'm sure
I think
it's the
either
Black Eyed
Fergie
Peas.
predates Furbies.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
What?
Fergie.
I'm going Fergie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes,
Fergalicious.
you're right. I am too.
So you're all three on Fergie?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'm on Furby by myself. I'm on Furby Island over here.
Furby
You better
Island.
lose.
It's a weird place to live.
Fergie
Yeah.
came
All right.
first. Born in 75. Okay, she's older than I thought.
Okay.
Furby, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Furbies came way later.
The movie Titanic.
Or the real Titanic.
The movie about the ship or the ship exists first?
They must have been on that ship like, oh my God, I can't believe
We're
this
so
is
capturing
just like the
this.
movie.
Bro, were
Did
you
anyone
just
see the end of that
plowing
movie?
Kate Winslet in the car? Yes. Haven't you seen the movie? This is how it happens.
Okay. Titanic or Daniel Radcliffe?
Ooh.
How old is he?
Daniel Radcliffe is younger than all of us.
Titanic.
Because when I was in high school, that's when Harry Potter 1 came out. And I think he was like 10. So he's probably a solid 6-7 years younger than me.
you.
And I'm
Hold on.
37. So he's probably 30 or 29, late 20s maybe.
I think Daniel Radcliffe is old. It came first. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe.
I'm going to go with Daniel Radcliffe.
Because the movie came out in like...
I thought 98
Yeah, he's got to be.
or 2000, somewhere in there, 98 or 2000.
My sister was 30 and she's born in 93. Yeah, no, she's older than Titanic. Yeah, no, Radcliffe. Yeah. He's about
I'm
the same age as
Titanic.
my sister.
I'm sticking with Titanic.
Rebel over there.
Yeah.
I'm going with Radcliffe.
I think Titanic is like 94, 95.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's right.
Titanic came out in 97.
Okay.
Ooh.
Daniel Radcliffe was born in 89.
Yay.
Oh, Daniel Radcliffe
He's
is older.
older.
He's
Yeah.
old. I know.
He's
It's like
much
he's
older.
older than y'all think.
I thought he was like 10 or 12 years
So he's
old in the first
mid-30s.
Harry Potter movie.
89.
Yeah, he's only a couple years younger than me. I met the twins from Harry Potter.
Did they go to the Owl coffee shop here?
No, I was in Europe.
Oh.
I went to
okay.
Europe once. It's not a big deal.
Do you know
All
where
right.
it is?
Left?
What continent is Europe on?
Yeah, Europe. But yeah, I went to Italy and Greece.
Just avoid that question. Good. All right. The song "Wannabe" by the Spice Girls
Oh,
If you
hell
want to
yeah.
be my lover.
or
you gotta get with my
JoJo
friend.
Siwa.
No, that's
She was
I'm
on
gonna say
Dance
one of
Moms.
never
Oh.
end.
I have no idea who JoJo Siwa is.
You got
I
to
only
give.
know.
It's so easy.
I can't remember.
That's the way
Actually, I know who she is because she was
So here's a
referenced.
story from A to
Shut
Z.
up.
You want to get
What
with
you
me?
think
You
about
better
that?
listen carefully.
Yep, go ahead
Oh
and
shit,
do
he's
that.
throwing things. No, I'm sorry.
The calendar changed pages behind you.
Oh, it did.
Wow,
Good
it's
job,
okay.
Jacob.
Well done.
You
That's
hit
an
him so
interesting
hard you knocked him in the
picture.
past.
Like, yeah.
Back in time.
Okay, so I know she was because she was brought up. Paul brought her up on ICS, and I had to Google her.
I wasn't listening.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
y'all are
JoJo's
definitely
adorable.
weren't.
My daughter loved JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with what was the other one? Wannabe.
She's like a child performer.
Yeah, I'll go Wannabe.
I
I've
think
heard of that.
Wannabe's older than her.
I
Yeah.
think wannabe too.
She's
Us
probably
Okay.
20.
JoJo Siwa, born in 2003.
Ah,
Yeah,
Wannabe.
we got this.
Wannabe came out in 96.
I was
Hell
gonna say,
yeah.
that's yeah.
We rocked that one. You're up, Jim.
Me, you gotta listen carefully. All right, finding joy in Anhedonia. Hey, y'all. Been listening to the show since last year's mental health awareness push in May. I've been wanting to ask this question for a while, but figured y'all had plenty of questions to get through, so never submitted. I'm a 30-year-old male, my pronouns are he and him, who has had major depressive disorder since I was about 9 years old. Formally diagnosed at 19 years old, after finally talking to my doctor about it. Tried therapy, didn't have a great experience, though not necessarily the therapist's fault. Was put on 400 milligrams of Wellbutrin and 30 milligrams of nortriptyline. and these have been okay with treating my symptoms. My problem, though, is they don't help with my anhedonia, and it's really getting to me. It's very demoralizing to work hard for something and not get a payoff at the end, or enjoyment during the grind. Working multiple jobs since the age of 16 to buy a house at 26, finally get the keys and feel nothing. Work for several years in the gym to get to the 1,000-pound club, finally squeeze out that bench PR to put me over, and there's no joy. Switch it up to try getting a decent, according to the internet, swimming lap pace, and nothing. Achieve my goals in video games, both solo and in groups. Feel nothing. Build up my relationships with a few close friends and family, and there's no joy there. Achieve my accuracy and precision goals in archery, something I loved as a kid, and not get any joy from start to finish. Transform dead dirt pit into bountiful, blooming garden, and feel nothing. The color of my emotional life is perpetually gray, and while I like the color, it would be nice to get some variety. So my question is, how do I fix this? How do I get some joy and sense of accomplishment in my life? Sorry if this is a little rambly, but thank you so much for taking my question. Anonymous.
Well, thanks for writing. I'm going to go ahead and jump in early and take the easy one. Then I'm just going to sit back and relax and then rest on my laurels. I think the first thing that I would do would be talk to your prescriber. Because I think that maybe there's something that they can do with the medication to change that.
You've already got somebody that knows some of your shit.
Exactly. One other thing that I will bring up, and I don't know if this relates to you at all. If it doesn't, just ignore it. Take a look at any kind of substance use. If you're drinking alcohol or anything like that on a regular basis, because that sometimes can lead to anhedonia.
Define anhedonia.
I was going to say we need to
Okay.
define it.
So anhedonia, hedonism, right, is kind of pleasure. Anhedonia then is without pleasure. So basically it's like you're doing all of these things, but you just can't experience any kind of joy.
Yeah.
Great.
Like a pleasure.
Yep. There you go.
So, I'm genuinely asking this because I don't have a lot of experience since maybe undergrad and just learning about this in depth. But as far as clients go, I haven't had a lot of interaction with clients struggling with this. But I was looking it up, and it's a lack of dopamine receptors. And I thought, how do you fix that?
Just grow more receptors.
Yeah, like I know you, and maybe well, that was just my first thought. So throwing that out there, like, yeah, if you don't have receptors, then what? But I was curious on y'all's thoughts. This person has tried all of these things to reach a form of pleasure. My question is, have you done it before? Because it almost is like you have experienced it and now you're trying to chase that.
Which
so I'm
leads
like,
me to believe that maybe the medication has something to do with
it.
So that's why my first recommendation would be talk to your doctor about maybe trying some different meds or just getting their take on it, right? Because, that could be part of it. Yeah.
What was your point there? That they've experienced it before?
I'm just wondering, like, okay, my theory, my thought process would be, why are you trying so many things if you haven't experienced a pleasureful experience before? Like, how I perceive the question was, hey, I've tried all these things and I can't find pleasure in them. I'm like, well, have you experienced that before at some point in your past?
Pleasure itself?
Yeah.
Or pleasure in any of these things. I mean...
Well, no.
The writer...
from 9 years old.
Yeah, but the writer talks about, like, they used to enjoy archery, something I loved as a kid.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, like, that tells me
they
that
were
there
capable
was
at some point. That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, then, yeah. No, that's a really good point then.
Yeah, it's just a curiosity. It makes me wonder what's going on there. If you have in the past at some point experienced joy from trying something and achieving a goal, and that made you happy or whatnot. Yeah, I don't know.
So I think a couple of layers to this.
Yeah.
First off, anhedonia, extremely common, even if you don't have a mental health diagnosis. It still shows up. It's usually episodic. It doesn't last forever. It's just pleasure deafness. It's the sense of like disconnection from the things you used to enjoy. So what will happen is when you're going through depression or you're going through anything else, you suddenly just aren't interested. You're like, I don't know what it is. I can't get excited for my hobby. I used to love this video game. I don't really care anymore. My friends called me. They invited me to a movie. I just honestly didn't feel anything about it. So I just didn't even go. Or I went, but I felt like, God, I'm just checking my watch the whole time. And then they start to look around and go, God, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not connected to this? I used to get excited over little things. You'd call me and go, hey, I'm going to go get ice cream. Do you want to get ice cream? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want ice cream. And now it's like, I don't care at all. And then they start to get really worried because even whenever something special happens, I bought a house. I worked at this for a decade. Like today is the triumph. And I'm just putting the key in the door and opening it and just decorating it. And I feel like I'm just listlessly going through this experience. That is anhedonia.
Yeah.
And anhedonia is not a disease. It's just a reality that we tend to notice. Now, again, it's usually temporary, but people with depression often experience it. And as both Nick and Whitney pointed out, also sometimes it can be a side effect of certain medications. And we hope that wanes over time. 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin can be a pretty big dose, and those combinations might be doing it too. Again, we do not give medical advice. Yeah. Talk to your prescriber, get feedback from them.
Was a lot. I was like, ooh.
It seems to, I don't know.
Or higher.
But, but that's probably gone up over time. And you're fighting depression is always public enemy number one.
And honestly, I hate to say it, but anhedonia is probably
better
beats
than depression. Yep, take that over depression all day.
Fair.
And that's the other thing I wanted to congratulate you on, Ryder, because I'll tell you what, when I have a patient who has anhedonia, if we have defeated the depression and we're managing the scarier parts of mental illness, but our side effect, our new reality is we're living inside of anhedonia, what I'm going to be asking them to do is everything that you have accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, can you get to the gym? Can we get you doing some kind of fitness routine? Because I want to get you moving. That is how you actually build new receptors. That is how you stimulate change. I want you to do fitness. And there you are. Get into the 1,000-pound club. Try swimming. Try everything. Okay, I'll try swimming. Try gardening. Get your hands in the dirt. Build something. Okay, I'll try that. Go buy a house. Go work. Like all these amazing accomplishments that you've done, playing video games, going out with friends, building relationships. I would want you to try and keep swinging that bat. And what's amazing is you're accomplishing these things without that mechanism that is a self-guided piece of most humans, which is that pleasure-seeking principle. Most of us do the next thing in our goal-seeking because it felt good to get to milestones. I did this one step. I'm going to go to the next step. You are doing it without that. You don't have that. And yet you're accomplishing incredible things with your life. And so to me, I just want to take a beat here to just recognize that and celebrate that and think, wow, look at all you're able to achieve, even though you're not getting distinct pleasure from it, but you're able to recognize these are healthful, this is good, I desire to do these things, they are consistent with my values, they are reasonable to accomplish, they are meaningful for my life. And that can be awesome for you, Ryder. But, this question of anhedonia is really a tricky thing because there's not like some one weird trick where, you bend your pinky in the right direction, all of a sudden you unlock these principles. Like, obviously, if you can't feel it, you can't feel it. And some people do feel like just a sense of detachment from the rest of their lives. And sometimes it's kind of a form of dissociation. If the chemistry can be, discussed with your provider, I would have that conversation. I get the impression from your letter that you've been at this for a long time. And I think when you get to those dosages and, and multiple medicines, that probably means there's been a lot of trial and error since you were 19 and your provider probably found the right mix for now. But yeah, I wish I had some tips on how to do this because I think most people, when they're confronting anhedonia, I want them to live an active lifestyle. I want them to get out there and try things, and I'm hoping that they're going to unlock something by doing all this. It's going to break the logjam. They're going to feel excitement again and joy. That doesn't seem to be happening for you. I take you at your word. I'm so impressed that you're doing all those things, though, because that's what I'd want you to do.
Yep. I have a piece of advice that I would give to my asshole friends.
Drugs?
Okay, I have two pieces of advice that I would give to my asshole friends. And I'm curious to see what you guys think of this. Because one piece of advice that I give to friends when they chat with me about things like this is oftentimes fake it till you make it approach.
Right.
I kind of want you to decide when you set a goal, like the next goal you set, be that buy a house or enter the 1,000-pound club or whatever that goal is.
Mile High Club.
Get to Mile High Club. Maybe that can be the next goal.
That's a good goal.
1,000-pound Mile High Club.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Wait, what?
She had to buy herself an extra ticket.
Oh, there it is. That's not what I meant, but all right.
That's where I went. I was like,
We need both bathrooms. But that would be next time you set a goal, whatever that goal is, I would at the same time I would prefer a ridiculous, but that's up to you, but set a celebration as well. Decide what is my celebration going to be when I hit that goal.
Good
Yeah.
point.
And I want it to be a little extravagant.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
And it's when you hit that goal, even if you say, well, I hit the goal, I don't feel anything, it doesn't matter because part of the goal has yet to be accomplished. Part of the goal is the celebration.
yeah.
Right.
And so like I've bought a house. When I said to myself, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to take myself out to the best restaurant in town, and I'm going to sit at the bar, and I'm going to really enjoy just the best restaurant, my favorite restaurant in town. I'm going to sit and I'm going to reward myself with
appreciate
an extravagant meal.
Right.
I'm going to go and I'm going to buy the lobster. I'm not going to ask what the market price is. I'm just going to order it. All these things. And I would set that goal and go through the motions of what you think
I love this.
a healthy, well-adjusted, happy person would do.
That's great.
It only took 6 years for Jacob to get
I love
his
this
therapist
advice. I love
license.
this. I
did
love
it.
this.
Yeah, it's fine.
There it is. It's deserved. Victory lap.
Just been life. But no, I mean, fake it till you make
No,
it.
I love
that
find
is.
find that thing
It's like
that
CBT,
you
change
say
your
like
behavior.
here's what I think a person in my situation should be doing. Here's what a reasonable person would be doing. I'm going to go a little more extravagant than that. And that's I'm going to do that whether I want to do it or not.
Yeah.
And every now and then it's going to feel like a fucking punishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll feel awkward or
And that's
uncomfortable.
fine.
But I'm still going to do it.
But
And
do
the
it.
rule, and I tell you, the most important rule is you have to put yourself into it.
I love
You
it.
can't be there going through the motions. You can't be there crossing it off the list.
You got to commit.
You have to be committed to it. So yeah, if your reward is I'm going to go play mini golf, you got to go try and get the best score in mini golf you can get.
You're all in.
Yeah.
You're not just go. Yeah.
You got to
you're-
cheer after every
Giving
putt.
yourself to it.
Yeah.
If you're
Like
showing
Nick
up at
does
the
when he
restaurant.
plays golf.
That's right.
That's right.
You should see Nick on the course
Throws
cheering
handfuls
for
of
himself after
confetti.
every single
Yes.
putt.
Throws
Yes.
it in the air.
Yeah.
As a
The other golfers
foghorn.
hate it.
They do
Yeah.
not
There's
care
confetti
for it.
everywhere.
But I really like the idea of a victory lap.
Yeah.
When you're accomplishing these things. Because you know what? I mean, again, not to minimize your anhedonia. I take that for what it is. I don't want to relate to
Certainly.
it too hard. But I know even in my life, when I think about like all the things I've ever done and I accomplish a goal, a lot of times I don't feel joy. I just feel relief. Like, okay, I did it. Ugh, glad that's over.
Or what I hear
I could
with
stop doing that. Now.
I could stop doing this.
with people who struggle with depression, what I hear a lot is like they almost don't feel like they deserve to celebrate. Like, well, yeah, anyone would do that. Anyone can buy a house. Anyone can
Right.
like do. I practice.
Oh, by the
you know,
way, not everybody can buy a house.
Ooh, yeah, easy,
Fair.
Whitney. It's a very touchy subject.
he didn't say when he bought it
That's true.
House
Could've
across
been.
the street from me is on sale right now. It's for sale
know.
right now.
for only $800,000.
Nope, less than that.
Okay,
Less.
Slightly.
A little bit less. A little bit
just
less.
a smidge.
Yeah.
You're trying to get your cul-de-sac. So.
Also, no HOA. Just saying, Whitney.
Oh, she's not having it. She needs
I was looking
power.
at houses earlier.
She's just trying to get out of her drama.
I'll send you one right
I don't
now.
want this HOA. Mm.
I'll send you one with no HOA.
Does
Huge
that have
yard.
a pool?
No, but room for a pool. Like
an
room
extra
for a pool and
100K.
still have a giant yard.
Room for an Olympic pool.
Yeah. No, legit.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a giant yard.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sidetrack.
So anyway, Ryder, I love that you're accomplishing all this. I completely agree with Jacob. I think having some kind of celebration for accomplishment. I agree with Nick and Whitney that, you know what? It's very fair to have a full conversation with your prescriber and just make sure you're bringing all this up to them.
Yeah.
Don't keep it a secret. But again, I really want to celebrate that you are out there doing all these things. That's exactly what I would want you to do.
So impressive.
If I were working with you, yeah, I would say, hey, pursue these things anyway. Without that internal compass of joy guiding you, you're doing it because it's reasonable, because it makes sense. And maybe your version of joy is relief. Maybe you're just relieved whenever you complete something. Maybe you just take it off your list and you're like, all right, next thing. And you're just maybe a low emotion person on a lot of issues. And okay, but you're still really successful.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what other emotions you can have, like that sense of at least appreciation or accomplishment.
Right.
Even if it's not maybe joy or excitement.
Right.
Like,
Or
I
less
did
stress.
this, or
Yep.
I'm proud of myself. I don't know. What other emotions are there that maybe you can like emphasize more?
Right. Horny. That's
Yeah,
one.
that could be one.
That could be it. That's what you should really pursue in life.
Yeah. If you aren't feeling that, then why?
Why be alive?
Why?
Said Whitney on the therapy
Again.
podcast.
So Whitney's advice is find a prostitute. Is what
Yeah,
I'm
I
hearing.
think that's where it
They
went.
will help you explore things you've never.
I mean,
places
I've
you've
heard
never
both
been.
of you give worse advice than
If
that.
you can find a prostitute named Joy,
Oh, that's the trick.
Now,
That's the
now
trick.
you felt
That's the
joy.
trick.
yes.
Let me tell you how you can recapture hedonism in your life. You start with
I feel like there are therapists
brothel.
out there that have probably recommended that.
somebody has. Absolutely.
Jim has thrown drugs in front of drug users.
Oh, here it goes again. It was cornstarch. It wasn't even drugs.
You didn't know
Did you
that?
try it?
No, he did not know that.
He didn't, did you?
In fairness, none of them knew that. And anyway, we're at the end of the show. And as we wrap it up, we just want to remind you that you can go down to patreon.com/therapy for as little as $1. You can join the party. You can hear the show ad-free a day early. You can get the extended stuff, which is a whole hour in this case. And join our live chat Discord community. And if you're at the $5 and above level, then you get all those weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. All sorts of fun stuff at patreon.com/therapy. And of course, we want to remind you to go to votejim.net and vote for Jim every day, every device.
You
for Best
get
Las
one
Vegas.
per episode.
Yeah,
That's
That
what
was
it
it.
is.
That was my one.
I used
No, I
one
just did
earlier.
it. Said
This is
one
the one.
earlier.
You
So I
said
said I
on
was
Throne of
going to do
Life.
So
one.
now,
Earlier, I was telling you
Now
that
you
I'm
don't get any next
going
week.
to
That's-
advertise votejim.net.
Nope, that's next week's.
Into the future.
They've
already used
Borrowing
next
against
week's.
time.
Now you've used next week's.
We've got some new folks who have joined the party. Welcome to new Therapal, Plebeian J, and Miguel.
And we got two new theropods, Elena Kangal.
Wow.
Kangan.
None of those letters were even in the word. It's Kangan.
Could have gone a lot of
Kangan.
ways.
That's what it fucking said.
Did you want to say the Supreme Court Justice? Is that where you're going? You want to say Kagan? Yeah, me too.
That's what
Yeah.
it's- And then
Do it.
John Finlayson.
Nice.
Good enough.
Been listen.
And of course, we want to
listen.
thank our Ther partners, Dirty B and Myra, and the rest of our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Ther producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie, Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Cindy Ash, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley, Slapping Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kaye Motherfucker, the proud owner of the Stern Daddies.
Yeah.
This guy.
Stern Daddy's Football Club.
So good. Sandra
That
McWaffle.
team is pretty.
Let's bring it to
is
life.
a beautiful team. Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited
$5. Do it.
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to all of you who contributed to the show today. I really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share this episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram and Twitter X, as well as /PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget about the goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
VoteJim.net. Every day, every day.
Boo.
The next 2 weeks.
Vote Whitney.
Last one.
Burning through them.
McDonald's
Ooh.
or Alex Trebek?
Oh, God.
Suck it, Trebek.
That is the-
I'm going to go McDonald's.